Hello, hello. Hello, welcome in. Everybody get seated, get situated, get comfortable. We're just gonna wait a little bit here for everybody to join in, and then we'll get started. Yeah, let us know actually where you're from in the chat. It's always nice to see the worldwide community of Zeppelin and where you're from. I think we'll have most of the people from North America, probably from the US, but every now and then we get people trickling in from Europe and even from Asia, even though the time zone isn't the most friendly for them. Oh yeah, St. Paul, Minnesota, Austin, Texas, very nice. I was actually just in Austin a couple weeks ago. Awesome place. Oh, Argentina. Nice. Minneapolis. Oh, the UK, Peter. Wow, a lot of people from Austin. Okay, so yeah, we're just gonna wait a couple more minutes and we'll let everybody join in. Oh, Alameda, close to us. Yeah, we're in the city right now, so very close. Actually used to play soccer in Alameda too, so cool. Just some logistics for Zoom. We're gonna have a Q&A function, and we have the lovely Noelis and Josh here who are gonna be answering some questions for you. I'll also answer some questions live too. So if you have a question, put it in the Q&A and we'll take care of you. Also, if people are open to it, I'd love to hear from some of you during the webinar, just about some of these challenges that we're gonna talk about. So I'd love to hear those challenges that you faced, how you work through them, and potentially how Zeppelin can help too. All right, great. Well, hello everybody. How's everybody doing? Good. I see lots of excitement. This is good. My name's Mike from Zeppelin. I work on the community crew here. And basically what the community crew does is we try to empower all of our users to make sure that they're using Zeppelin to the best of their ability. And so this could be through creating videos, through blogs, doing webinars like these, workshops. There's all these different ways that I interact with the community, with you guys, with you folks, to make sure that you're utilizing Zeppelin in the best way possible. Okay, so yeah, today we're gonna overview flows and annotations, a new feature that Zeppelin released just in January. I'm not sure if anybody here went to Harmony or saw that keynote, but we're gonna overview some of what we overviewed there, and then hopefully get some input from you all too. All right, so let's get started here. Great. So as you probably all know, this is Zeppelin. And even before we start to look at flows and annotations, I just want to call out some of the organization pieces of Zeppelin. So here in your workspace, you have workspace sections. And workspace sections are just an easy way to organize your applications or the features of your applications. So here you can see we have a bunch of not very well named projects, but the idea being that if you have maybe features that are part of an app, you can break them into different projects, or if these are the different platforms of the same application, you can do that too. Not only that, but I want to call out that you can add links to all the different resources that you might need for that project. So here might be your PDRs, all your work items, and things like your repository. Okay, cool. So let's hop into a project here. Flows. Yes, just move this Zoom thing down. You might have noticed if you upgraded to 4.0 that we have this new tab here, flows. And I can actually just Command L to get in there, or click it. And here is where we're going to start documenting our user journeys, where we're going to start moving screens in and creating user journeys. But obviously, there's no screens in here currently. So let's go back to the dashboard and let's actually add some. So I can add an entire section here that I just collapsed and expanded. And I can do that through clicking this little icon, or I can add an individual screen by clicking, right-clicking the screen and adding it to the flow. We're actually going to add all of the screens here. So boom, there we go. So now we hop into our flow and we see all those screens that we just added. I'm actually just going to move these a little bit apart. The cool thing is when you add a section like we just did, these screens come in to the flow in the same orientation that they're in your design tool. So that we know that people usually will set up screens in the design tool, organize them in a happy path. And so we just wanted to make sure that we were respecting that organization. And so this kind of layout that you're seeing here in flows is the same layout that you'll get in your design tool Figma or Sketch or XD. I'm just going to add 2 copies of this screen here. And I'm going to space things out a little bit too. Okay, while I'm dragging these screens around, you also might have noticed our grid in action. So when I move a screen, it kind of snaps to these predefined limits to the left and right. And the reason we did that is, in design tools, you can kind of move screens in very minute units. But for flows, it's less important for screens to be moved in that minutia. What's more important is just that they're lined up. So we wanted to make it easy to line your screens up. And so what we did here is just create that snapping grid. Okay, another quick thing I'll show is just toggling between variants. So if you have screen variants set up in Zeppelin, you can actually add that copy that we showed and you can toggle between the variant too. So we're just going to change this to results and this to no results. Okay, I know everybody's itching to see the flows piece, so we'll show that now. You might have noticed that when I was hovering over these screens, these blue little points will pop up. And that's where you're going to create your first connectors. Now, I can create connectors on these blue points here, or I can actually create them from any point on the side of the screen. So to create a connector, I just click and I drag and boom, there we go. We've created our first connector. I do want to just pause here though for a second. I know that looks simple, but the fact that this is dragged from one screen to another and it snaps to the side of the screen, that's something that in design tools, if you're creating these flows manually, say with just the pen tool in Figma, that's kind of right there, even just an efficiency gain that you get from using flows here. So I'll just show it again. Boom. That's creating flows there, or creating connectors. Okay, yeah. So that snapping mechanism, that easy creation of connectors, is kind of one of the big things that we heard when we were building flows that people wanted to see. Another piece is you can create connectors from the side of a screen, but you can also create connectors from an individual layer too. So say that I have this baklava layer here, and I want to click on it and show that it goes to this delicious baklava screen. I can do that. So we've created a little bit of a happy path here, going from the market homepage all the way to our delectable baklava. And we can do that through the sides of screens or through individual layers too. I also want to mention, actually, I connected to a layer here, this baklava layer. This layer has a unique ID associated with it. And actually, if this layer moves, so say in my design tool, if I move this baklava layer to the matcha latte layer, the connector would actually follow it. So that's important because when you're updating screens and you don't want to worry about your connectors being broken, when you re-upload it into Zeppelin, we'll actually follow that unique layer to wherever you put it. So if you replace this baklava with the matcha latte one in your design tool and re-export into Zeppelin, then the connector would move there automatically. Okay, cool. So we've created a happy path here, but what if we wanted to show, say, an error state or a loading or a no result state? Well, we can do that too. So I'll just drag and create a point here. And to communicate that, what I can do is I can actually change the color of this connector. So I might use red for an error state, or I might use yellow for this no results. I can also change it to -2. And finally, what I can do is I can add a label. I can say no results. Whoops. No results. So this label here stays connected to the connector, and you can move it around like this as you please. So not only can I create labels within connectors, but I can also add floating labels. So maybe there's some specific interaction on this screen that I want to highlight to devs or other people on the team, then I can do that with these floating labels. So maybe it's the hand waves when we click it. A little bit of an Easter egg there. Okay, great. So we just created this kind of simple flow here. We easily created connectors that will snap to the sides of screens. We can create them from layers, and they'll even follow the layers if you update those. You can create different kinds of connectors like we showed here, and you can add labels too. So that's all great. One of the final pieces that I want to show here is just in design tools, when you create flows, and if you're doing it manually, or maybe you're using, like a plugin, oftentimes when you add labels and connectors together and then move your screens, say you want to add a screen or just reposition them, the connectors will break. So it's kind of a big problem that when you have these flows and these flows are evolving over time, maintaining those flows can be very time consuming. And that's especially true when you're a large company or you have a large and complex application, right? So it just becomes kind of arduous for us as designers to maintain these flows. And we'd heard that a lot. So we wanted to make it easy to kind of create and also maintain these flows. And that's seen through something simple, just like when you move these screens around, none of these labels, none of these connectors break, right? So basically this is purpose built to make it easy for people with complex flows, with large applications and large companies to easily maintain their user flows. Okay, great. I'm just curious, has anybody, had this problem before with creating these flows and creating these kind of manual lines that then you have to recreate, or you add a screen and it breaks everything and you're like pulling your hair out? I'm curious if anybody has had that issue before. Yeah, Alex. Yeah, every time I've done this before. Yeah, exactly. Yes, yeah. So we heard this a lot when we were building flows, and we just knew that this maintenance piece was a big issue, and we wanted to just make it easy and solve it for all of you out there. Okay, great. So this is a simple flow that I showed you here, but I also want to show what a more complex flow would look like. So let's check that out. Just going to hop into my own iOS application here. And once again, you can see these sections doing a lot of the organizing work for me here. I can expand them or collapse them. And it's just kind of easy to navigate when you have a lot of screens in a particular project. I would definitely recommend using sections to break it up. But let's check out the flow. So let's zoom out a little bit. Whoa, okay, so now we're cooking here. We're cooking with some gasoline. This is a little bit more of a complicated flow that we see. And one thing that we heard is when you hop into a flow, especially in your design tool, it can be difficult to understand the different pieces of that flow. And that's especially true if you're not the one who created it. So maybe you're someone else on the team, or you're just unfamiliar with flows too. So we wanted to create this easy and visual way to organize flows. And what we came up with was a feature called groups. Basically, you can select multiple screens and you can create this colored group with that. So maybe this is my, sign up subflow. Maybe this is my onboarding, my market, dashboard, and checkout. Great. So what was this kind of jumbled, maybe confusing mess of screens is now nicely and beautifully organized with these colors here. So once you create a group, you can actually, drag to move them around. You can move individual screens in a group and the group automatically resizes. And we'd actually heard that people were creating groups like these in design tools already. So you might be familiar with something like this in Figma, where you're creating this kind of custom shape that's colored, and you use it to, create a subflow within your user flow in the design tool. Yeah, this can just be, we heard this can just be kind of a manual process, and it can just take a lot of time to create these custom shapes over and over again. And then once again, maintain it if something changes. So, maybe I'm adding 10 screens here and I need to expand this shape, and I do that, or I need to change the color. But basically just the creation and maintenance of these custom layers is difficult. And that's especially true when you talk about, large applications. And yeah, the other thing just quickly I'll mention is that scalability wise, it can be difficult, right? So the bigger and bigger that your flows get, that your applications get, the more difficult and the more time consuming it becomes to create and maintain all these kind of workarounds. So yeah, we just wanted an easy way to create groups. So if I want, I can also change the color of my groups easily here. And I can actually share my groups pretty easily too. So I can copy this web link or this app URI. And when I send that to someone on the team, they'll actually get navigated automatically to that specific group. So they won't even get this zoomed out view of all these different subflows. They'll be directed to that particular group that they can view. So it's an easy way to share pieces of the flow. Maybe a dev on your team is only working on a particular subflow. You can just send them that one and make sure that they're not getting kind of lost in these big flows. Yeah, so that's groups, a way to visually organize your flows. We did hear though that flows get even bigger than this. So we wanted to introduce one more kind of organization feature, and that's what we have with boards that you see up here. Boards are just kind of separate flows and another way to organize what you've created. So you might have this giant flow. Maybe I have flow that's 3 or 4 times as big as this. You can just break that up into boards and provide another layer of organization to your team. Yes, so boards is available on the enterprise plan. I actually don't like that these colors are the same, so I'm gonna switch it up. Okay, cool. I just wanted to check too, for organization of flows and for sharing flows. I was wondering, has anybody else had these problems before where it's difficult for the team to understand the subflows, or you end up creating these custom, shapes, and they're difficult to maintain. Is that something that people have had trouble with before? Absolutely, Dan. Yes, Christina. Yes. Yeah. So, what happens when you remove a screen? So the screen will just be deleted from that group. Gonzalo. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we heard that organization was difficult. And basically we created groups and created boards to make it a little bit easier. Okay, but what if I'm in a single screen? How do my flows, how do they manifest themselves in that single screen view? Well, let's check. So we wanted to make sure that you had the context of your flow when you're developing a single screen or when you're viewing a single screen. And that's what these connectors on the left-hand side do for you. So I can see that I'm coming to this screen from the market home, and I'm leaving to the no result and the search result that we saw earlier. Another thing I just want to mention here is that connector that we created earlier, the yellow dashed one, that information is retained here on the right-hand side. And not only that, but the label that we added, the no results, that label too shows up in this connector. I can also see back connectors too. We didn't create that in the other flow, but you can see that here too. If I want to navigate to these other screens that it's connected to, all I have to do is click the connector and boom, there I go. I'll go to that screen. All right. So that is flows. Now I want to show a little bit about annotations, just changing gears a little bit here. So you might have noticed that there's these permanent kind of notes on the screen, and this is what we call annotations. We realized that people were really using Zeppelin notes for two reasons. One of them was this permanent documentation that people needed on a screen. So for requirements, endpoints, animations, behaviors. And the other one was to just talk about things on the screen. So it could be like, hey, this copy action needs to be changed, and you'd add a note. And we recognize those as two distinct use cases, and we wanted to split them out. And so that's why we created annotations. So annotations are permanent notes on a screen that are used to describe and document that particular screen. You can see them here when I click into them, and you can also see them on the right-hand side. Okay, let's add an annotation. So I can click this this icon down here, or I can just command click on the screen, select annotation, and the different types. So we talked about requirements, endpoints, animations, tracking. And so maybe it's something here that I need to tell my team, like the search bar, oops, focuses when I navigate to the screen. Great. You can also filter the annotations. So sometimes I come and I want to build this screen and I just want to see all the behaviors on this screen, or maybe I want to see all the requirements or the endpoints. I just want to develop all my endpoints in one day. And that's what this filtering behavior allows you to do. Is just, it's one of those API days and you want to create all your API endpoints. That's fine. Filter here, see them all, and create them. Okay, great. So we talked about flows. We talked about creating those connectors that snap, those different connectors for error states, loading states, no results, labels to kind of document your flows a little bit more, organizing your flows with groups and with boards, and then what the flow actually looks like on a screen. And finally, annotations. Okay, I think we've got a couple minutes left here. Let's see. I think Noelis and Josh, they've been curating some some questions for me here, and maybe we can answer a few live. Okay, let's see. Can the same screen be in multiple flow groups? Yes, absolutely. So let me show you what that looks like. If I wanted to, I could just add a copy of this screen here, and basically I could just move it to a separate group here. I will have to kind of not rename this group, but just kind of remove it just to make sure that I have all these screens in the same group again. I think there might be a different way to do this too, but yes. So that's how you can have the same screen in 2 different groups here. I hope that helps, Carrie. Does it help? Okay. Okay. What happens in flows when a new board is added to the dashboard? Okay, Kristen. So yeah, if a new screen is added in here and it's not already in your flow, you can right-click to add that to the flow. I think you might be talking about how screens are updated too, though. Is that right, Kristen? Okay, yes. Yeah, so when you update a screen in Zeppelin, it'll automatically update in your dashboard and in your flow too. So we mentioned copy changes earlier. So maybe we're changing this, what is your name, to just your name or something like that. When you export from, say, Figma or Sketch or XD into Zeppelin, this screen here will be automatically updated. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Kristen? Okay. All right, and then maybe I think we have time for one more. When will custom annotations be available? Okay, so you've been following our releases clearly. That's very astute of you. Soon is what I can say. We're working on it right now. And just so everybody knows, what we're talking about here is we talked about the different types of annotations that you can add. So none, behavior, requirement, animation, API, tracking. We know that the breadth of annotations is much larger than these groups that we've given you. And so we're going to give you a way to not only have a custom color, but also a custom name for the type of annotation. And you can see here that custom types is currently in development. Check back soon. I can confirm that it is in development and we'll have it out very, very soon. I don't want to put too much pressure on the dev team, but I think probably in Q2 is a definite. Not to put too much pressure on them, but yeah. Okay, great. Well, everybody, thank you for joining. It's great to talk to everybody. Like I said, I love doing this. I love interacting with the community, seeing your questions, seeing your energy for flows and annotations, I think is fantastic. Reach out to us if you have any feedback on these features. We build features based on what you tell us. So please, please, please let us know how we can improve these, and we will. Our support team is also fantastic and ready to answer any questions that you have, super responsive. So if you reach out to them, they will be able to help you. Okay. Yes. Oh, good call, Noel. So yeah, any questions that we didn't answer here, we'll reach back out to you. We'll send you an email. The recording will be sent out too. And from me, Mike, and Zeppelin, I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you later. Okay, bye. Bye.